Hi, you're listening to She Shield, your one-stop pod for all topics, personal safety. I'm your host, Sofia, and my goal is to help educate women and men on concealed carry, martial arts, and all topics self-defense. This episode is brought to you by Big Tex Ordnance, your soon-to-be favorite retailer for all of your firearms needs. BTO believes in only selling high-quality gear for responsibly armed citizens, as well as providing pre- and post-sale support. BTO values firearms training and supports firearms instructors nationwide. They even pay for their own staff to train with high-level instructors to ensure that when you as a consumer reach out, you are taken care of. So today, I'm so excited about our guest speaker. We have Brittany Klein on the show. Her on social is 9mm Britt. So I'm so excited you're here, Brittany. I would love for you to introduce yourself to the speakers.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Brittany. I live in Arizona. I am a dental hygienist, but when I'm not cleaning teeth, I am exercising my Second Amendment right. So I'm pretty much what you see online. I have an Instagram account, which Sofia just mentioned, 9mm Britt, where I have tracked my progress from when I was first learning just how to handle firearms to where I'm at today, which is more involvement in competitive shooting sports, such as USPSA, IDPA, some still challenges, and even concealment, which I have been tailoring more towards women lately, but I have been bringing that into the matches that I have been shooting in order to just add an extra variable that's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more realistic, because in reality, I conceal carry, but I don't practice shooting from concealment under pressure. So I decided it'd be a good idea to start incorporating that and just posting my experience, my progress, hoping to inspire others to get involved in shooting, whether or not it's just for self-defense purposes, competition shooting, or just learning how to be comfortable with a firearm.
Wonderful. Yes. And you've actually inspired me between you and Tessa competing from inside the waistband in like normal everyday clothing. I've actually been switching my USPSA rig to an inside the waistband rig, and I wouldn't be there if it weren't for you guys going on and sharing your journey. And I particularly love that you, and I'm sure you do this all the time, that you shoot from inside the waistband, not only that, but also with a dress and like realistic clothing where your concealment garment is so much lower than like a sweater or a t-shirt would be. So I'd love to know what got you thinking you should start doing that.
It was honestly going to church on Sundays. I'm like, wow, I go to church, I'm wearing a dress, I carry appendix. And I remember practicing dry fire reps before leaving the first time. And I was like, holy cow, this is like a whole 2 feet. I'm going down to try to draw my firearm. And with a lot of dresses, there's actually 2 layers also. So you have your outside layer and then the slip underneath, which is a little bit tighter. And I was like, this is really difficult. So I need to practice this. And I was like, I might as well bring it into a match and practice under pressure, because doing it in my room is a lot different than doing it when people are watching, or, in a self-defense situation, you're going to be under a lot of pressure. So that's what got me into it.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, so you live in Arizona, which from what I've heard is a great place for the 2A community. I'd love to know, how did your USPSA community respond to you wearing a dress at the competition?
So, where I compete with the dresses is actually IDPA, and it's actually been a good experience. I shoot with a really good squad, but I know there are some, I want to say like fuzzy men, some older men that are just like, oh, what's this young girl doing here in a dress? But I've never had anyone come up to me and directly say something inappropriate. I've just, had looks, but my squad itself is really supportive. And even the vice president of the club was like, that's really cool. I'm excited to see this. So it's been a really good experience so far.
Yeah, that's how it should be, in my opinion. I'm sorry that you've even gotten looks, but I've also gotten looks before, like for wearing leggings that had belt loops, and like things like that, where you're like, why did this even have to be a topic, between you and this like random person, or, a weird look exchange. But I love overall that your squad is supportive of you. And I know that from what I've seen on social media, people are taken with you doing that. I honestly haven't seen anyone else like conceal in realistic clothing the way you have. And I think you're going to start, like, I think you've already started like something where people are starting to consider bringing that into the sport. So that's freaking awesome. So while we're on the topic of the sport, what are your goals with USPSA and IDPA? I know you mentioned like getting better and more skilled under stress, but what are your other goals?
Well, right now with USPSA, so I do carry optics. So those are, totally separate goals than IDPA. But my focus isn't necessarily moving up my classification. So right now I'm at B class, which it honestly doesn't mean much to me. I care about my overall performance. So I struggle performing under pressure, just performing with eyes on me and in regards to anything. So my main focus right now, my main goal is to increase my overall performance by controlling my mental state. So basically mental management. So that's what I've been working on a lot these last few months, which is really hard. It's actually more difficult than just like the physical skill of drawing and shooting a gun. I'm like, wow, training my brain is much more difficult. And I just never expected that.
OMG. Absolutely. And so would you say that your mental management, it's kind of just like you're using these matches as practice, or is there like a book you're reading or a mantra you have or anything like that?
So I actually had this book recommended to me. You've probably heard of it before. It's called With Winning in Mind by Lanny Basham.
Yes.
Yeah. And so this really great shooter, her name is Tino. She shoots for Team Glock. She recommended that I read it because I reached out to her and I was like, you progress so fast. How do you do this? It's literally just my mental state that prevents me from competing. And I expressed to her, I was like, I actually get physically ill before shooting matches. And I feel like that's not talked about a lot. Maybe other people don't get really nervous, but like it makes me really nervous. So I used to not be able to sleep before matches, and it's helped me so much that I can actually get a full night's of sleep, no issues now, but there's still the nerves the day of. But anyways, With Winning in Mind, it's a fantastic book. It is written by Lanny Basham. He's an Olympic gold medalist shooter. And he wrote this book on how to control our mental state and how it is directly proportionate to our performance when we are not just shooting, but any sport. And he coaches people on how to control that. So he has three main things that he focuses on that control or that affect our performance. And that is our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and our self-image. So our conscious mind is pretty much what we are actively thinking about. And then our subconscious mind is our automatic performance. It is where all of our skill goes. And then our self-image is basically a sum of all of our habits and our self-talk. And, we put that all in there. And our self-image is equal to our performance. So if we have a negative self-image, then we are likely going to perform poorly. And if we have a positive self-image, then we will likely perform well. So I realized with reading this book, I was like, wow, I have a really bad self-image. Like I'm just a type A negative, as Steve Anderson calls it. Have you heard of Steve Anderson before? Yeah. He has an awesome podcast called That Shooting Show. And he basically preaches everything that Lanny Basham has in this book and expands upon it. And I was like, wow, I really am a type A negative. So this entire book teaches you how to change your self-image. And it has a series of, rules and guides and steps to change that self-image so you can perform well, because we perform our best in our subconscious state when we're performing from our subconscious, which, and that's the biggest thing. It's just changing that, there's a huge way we speak in our hearts about ourselves that affects our performance.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable today on the podcast. I'm always so honored when people share their just true, authentic experiences and the good and bad of it. I think it's lovely that you're bringing awareness to it, that you've seen that like this is not something that's talked about. So I'm going to talk about it today. So thank you for that, because I'm sure we have some listeners that are resonating with that pre-competition anxiety. Which I I hate to just say anxiety. I'm sure it's a combination of a few other things, but I really appreciate you sharing that. And I need to listen to, is it one episode that he goes into Laney's book, or is
Steve Anderson? Oh, it's like every week he's putting out just free content, which is amazing. Yeah, I literally Googled, I was like, shooting podcasts. I'd never heard of him before. And I listened to his podcast. I'm like, holy cow, this is just like a refresher of the book every time I listen to him. So he's fantastic. Definitely recommend checking him out.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll link him in the show notes as well. So if someone's listening right now and they want to go over there, finish this episode first, and then maybe head over and listen to that. And yes, that book was a great read. I remember finishing it and being like, I think I got like 20% of what it could really send a message for. I need to read the whole thing again, and like maybe I'll get 40% and so on, because there's so many good things in it, and the stories are inspiring. So it's funny. You're probably the fifth person. We've never taken this deep of a dive with it, which I really appreciate you going into it. You're probably the fifth person to mention that book on this podcast.
Really?
But we've never like taken the time to stop and talk about it, really. So I appreciate you sharing that. And as far as if anyone is like in your position and they're kind of starting from ground zero with their mental game, because I have to say, I've never really talked about this on the pod yet, but every time I go to a USPSA match, there's always one dude that looks like he's about to have a heart attack because of his maybe average performance for that particular person. Like, he normally does a really good job. He just flukes something he didn't see, like one of those like hidden paper targets. And you genuinely like worry about him when he walks off, because you feel like he's about to go like, I don't know, jump off a cliff because like he didn't do well. And I think back to the book and I think about like, no, like I almost want to go grab him and be like, don't reinforce those negative, thoughts. But what is that something that you experience too? Like, am I the only one that sees this? Like, there's always one person that just looks like they take that stage so seriously, and it's always like the first or second stage. And it makes me think like, crap, if they only could just turn around and be like, look, I hated this, but I did so well, like I did really well, like getting into position and leaning to my right because I knew I was going to take off to the left or something, like to reinforce that. Do you see that when you're at matches?
I think you're just describing me, honestly.
You're that person when I come visit? Okay.
Yes. I mean, no, okay. I was very much that person. Like, I felt like I just wanted to cry. I'm like, how did I just do that? Like, that was the dumbest mistake. And I would just be so hard on myself. So now when I do hear people have those comments like, oh, I mic that target, or, oh, I do this, or they tell me, hey, don't make sure you don't mic that. Don't hit that no shoot. I'm like, dude, why are you saying that? Like, don't even put that in your head, because this book that I read taught me that when you put that in your head, that is a mental rep. If you say, don't miss that target, your brain only hears hit the miss, basically. And you just you just did a mental rep that is now going towards your subconscious. So what are you going to do? You're going to go mic that target. And actually I have I have an example of this. This was before I was getting into mental management, before I knew anything about it. And I was very much more of a beginner than I am now. And I was shooting on a squad with this national champion, and everyone was going through how their stage plan. And I made the comment, being the person that I was, and I said, well, not unless you mic that steal. And this guy looks at me, the national champion. He's like, well, I'm not going to miss that steal. Like, he was like firm. I'm not going to miss that. He goes up to shoot. He missed the steal. I'm not kidding. I put that in his head, and he missed it. And it dropped his score for that stage, like below me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I feel guilty about it still to this day. Thank goodness it's a local match, and he's still national champion. He just became again another national champion. But I'm like, wow, I put that in his head. And now that I'm learning about this and I think about the fact that I did that, I'm like, wow, he probably hated me, because I would hate if someone did that to me. So it really does. If you tell someone not to think about something, you're going to think about it. You don't just stop. Yes. You're going to think about it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, that's freaking hilarious. I would tell you, don't feel bad, but I too would keep myself up at night thinking about that. So I totally get it as far as like the thought process afterwards, but I'm sure it was just a lesson to him on how to mitigate, comments during a competition. So you probably made him better. Like, let's spin that a little bit. But no, that's so funny. The other day you just reminded me. My mom and I were on the phone, and I was driving back from Fort Smith. And like that highway is notorious for deer to just like jump out. I mean, I'm telling you, like we have to stop for deer all the time. And like, I know it's not like unique to Arkansas, but I mean, it's scary. And she said on the phone, like, she said something like, "Don't hit a deer." And I was like, could you just tell me to drive safely? Like and we were like cracking up, and she was like, "Well, no, because I specifically don't want you to hit a deer." And I was like, "Yeah, but like I feel like now I'm gonna hit a deer because you said don't hit a deer." And we had like this really funny exchange, and I think it's weird how like books like that are specifically for competition and bettering yourself apply to like everything. You start seeing
They do.
it in like your everyday life. It's crazy,
They
right?
absolutely do. That's literally what this book preaches is don't say don't do something, say do this instead. Right. So yeah, perfect example.
Absolutely. Yes. I appreciate you sharing that story. That's really funny. I'm going to be laughing.
No, hopefully he doesn't
for a while.
Watch this. He's going to watch this and be like, wow.
She Shield isn't that big yet. So, you're good. You're good. That's so funny though. SOG knives began with the mission to reproduce the original SOG Bowie knife used by the Special Ops Unit MACV SOG. Today, SOG knives are carried with confidence into the most demanding situations. Forged out of tradition, hardened in the field, honed for you, whether you're protecting others or leading an epic hunting expedition, tackling one of life's everyday challenges, or facing your most extreme conditions yet, lead the way with SOG. What began as a single commemorative model soon became a full line of innovative tools, field proven by U.S. Special Forces, even honored as the Navy SEAL knife of choice. I've personally carried SOG knives since I added knives to my everyday carry setup, and have yet to be disappointed by their design and durability. Their craftsmanship is rooted in legacy of honor and courage, and is unmatched. With SOG by your side, you are equipped to lead the way, no matter the challenge. Join the ranks of those who dare to push beyond limits and define their own legacy, and use code SHESHIELD to support the pod and to save. That's SHESHIELD at checkout. I'd love to know, do you feel like you feel more competent now as a concealed carrier because you've competed from inside the waistband, like when you're walking in your everyday life, or you mentioned that you go running after work?
Absolutely. It's definitely made a huge difference in my confidence. I actually catch myself in public. I don't know if everyone does this or if this is just a me thing, but I'll be like in the gym and I'm like, okay, if an active shooter runs in right now, like where would I go? Would I go behind like this treadmill, this wall? Like I just have like a whole scenario in my head, which is kind of odd. But I don't know. I think about that stuff now. I think about what I'm wearing and I think about how I would respond in that situation. So it's definitely increased my level of confidence. Although, God forbid, I don't want that to ever happen, anything like that to ever happen. But I do feel a lot more prepared.
Yes. Okay. That's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. And yeah, you don't want it to ever happen. And the fact that, sorry, I'm like going on these little small tangents. I had someone comment on a TikTok video of mine the other day, and they were like, he said, "You're modeling for something you'll never have to use." And I wrote him back and I was like, yeah, no shit, dude. Like, I don't want to ever have to use this. And then I said something really petty, like, "Thanks for calling me a model," or something, just to like.
Well, good. Troll him. That's how it should be.
Exactly. I sometimes troll back, get a little spicy, but yeah, like it's true. You never want to have to do that. But the preparedness mindset, that's interesting. Do you feel like that comes from just shooting IDPA, or do you think it comes from just like carrying a gun that like gets you thinking about that?
That's a good question. I think it honestly comes from, shooting competition definitely does make me feel more prepared, because when I first started getting into self-defense, like we had discussed a little bit before the show started, a lot of people get into self-defense because of negative experiences previously, and especially women. Yes. That's what brings a lot of women into it, and that's what brought me into it. And even when I first purchased my gun and I was learning how to use it and I was carrying it and I had all the wrong holsters and everything, but if I ever had to use it in a situation, I don't think it would have ended well. And if it wasn't for competition, I don't think it would have ended well. So it has definitely improved my performance and my confidence with having a firearm. It's definitely taught me to be more observant in situations. I think just immersing yourself in the community overall has increased my preparedness because I'm a lot more observant just in public, avoid certain situations that could potentially lead to me having to use a firearm, and just have overall better confidence.
Absolutely. No, I'm super happy to hear that. And yeah, I don't know about you, but my For You page is basically all CCTV footage and body cam footage off of police officers. And I see like all of these real world situations that like, it really does get me thinking, especially when they happen at places like gyms. Like, I don't know about you, but I'll be in the gym with my headphones blasting on like and I hate to admit this, but you know, I'm human and I don't want anyone to think that, you know, this is abnormal, but I'll have it on the what's it called, like
transparency or noise isolation?
Noise isolation,
okay.
Or cancellation, one of the two. I'll have it on that mode, and then I'll have like an aha moment. I'm like, what the hell? Like, if someone came in here and like did something, I would be very slow to react because I can't hear. I also like just like as far as my personal preference right now at this point in my life, I don't have a gun on me when I'm like squatting and deadlifting and leg pressing. I do carry it in my fanny pack, and it's directly next to me, like touch point. It's also like always connected to something next to me, so no one can just come up and grab it with a little like latch thingy. And that's how I've decided to carry at the gym. But I've thought about it, like that is extra time. Like if I walk away to go like get a weight, like I'm keeping my eye on it always because I'm just uber paranoid. Like that's not an issue. But like it would take me time to react, as opposed to like me with, you know, my appendix carry in public when I'm scanning and I have both of my ears. So why did I just go on this tangent? Yep. Why the hell did I go on this tangent?
We were talking about confidence and concealed carry.
Yes. So I'll see these like videos where attacks happen at the gym, and then it's like, it opens me up to that. And yeah, so like now when I'm at the gym, you're not alone. I do think about that as well. I think that it's just a trademark of getting more involved in this path of like self-preparedness. And I think it's lovely that you think of that. You're probably one of the only ones doing that in the gym. And actually, it's very validating that you bring that up, because I do that sometimes and I feel like a crazy person. I'll be like, why? Like my friends and family are just sipping their coffee at this like, you know, cute bistro we go to, and then I'll be looking around for like exit strategies, and like I like to face the door and like all this stuff. So
no, that's good.
It's actually quite validating. Right?
Yes, that's good. Yeah. I will never sit in a restaurant with my back to the door. Like that's never happening. Absolutely
love
not.
It.
So
yes, one and the same. We'll have to fight for that chair when I get to meet you in person. Just kidding.
I mean,
we
you know
both
what?
just
if
like turn the table.
We turn it so we're both facing it. I mean, like when I go out to dinner with my father and he doesn't like to sit with his back to the door, I'm like, Dad, you're not carrying a firearm. You put your back to the door. I'm carrying the firearm right now. Like, what are you going to do?
That's a good point. Yeah, there you go. That solves it. Yeah. You and I will just have to turn the table. So that's perfect. Since I like forced us into the topic of gym. Do you, if you don't mind sharing, this is not something you have to share. I actually took a while to talk about my gym carry because I was so active at my last gym, and like everyone knew me that like when people asked me questions about it on social, I just kind of ignored them, or I DM'd them privately because I didn't like to share that I had a gun in the gym. So if you don't want to share this, please don't feel the need to. I would love to know, if you're willing to share, how do you balance concealed carry when you do go to the gym and you have to like move your body?
Well, I have a mix between, like you were saying, off body, which is not my favorite, but like you were saying, it has to be,
right.
I will only do off body if I'm doing something where my bag is touching me. Like it is with me at all times. If it's like a leg workout where I'm doing walking lunges or anything like that, it has to stay on me. And typically I use the Filster Enigma, and you know, it has changed my gym attire. I was typically one of those people that would wear like the sports bras, the tighter clothes, and I've had to switch to wearing large t-shirts, so it's loose in the front, and then I just still wear leggings, and that's what I do. As far as comfort goes, I think it's completely comfortable. I mean, there's a lot of sweat, but it's comfortable,
Right.
and I just have to wear a baggy t-shirt. But I do try to avoid carrying it off body. But like you said, there are times where I have to, depending on my, on my workout, and I just make sure the bag is right near me. And my bag specifically, so I have done fanny pack, like you said, and actually had that on me before. But I also, my backpack, I purchased a backpack. It's not meant for concealed carrying. So it was like a normal backpack, but I searched for one specifically with one pocket up front where it fits my firearm and my holster perfectly, vertically in there, and it can't actually move. And I want to figure out a way to Velcro it so it's totally locked into place. And that's what I use. That's, you can't tell that there's a firearm in there. But typically on body.
Yes, that's so cool. While we're like randomly on the topic, I recently visited Vertex, and I don't know if they're selling it, so this is probably not even helpful, but they have this Velcro apparatus that you can Velcro to your backpack, and then you can just clip your holster into the Velcro, and it's actually quite secure.
Oh, that's neat.
I'll have to show you. I know it's like in my closet right there, but when you like think something's there, I could spend like 10 minutes looking for it. I'll show you after. And maybe we can put up a picture of it if we do a short video of this, but it's actually quite helpful. Otherwise, I use like the Mini Tuck by Crossbreed and just purchase one of those. They're very like financially not a huge commitment. So I have those for most of my firearms. And Vertex, I don't even know I'm on this tangent, but I just want to throw them out there. They make backpacks specifically with a back panel for concealment. So if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I want to do that too, I highly recommend you check out their backpacks. They're also like the detail they put into the backpacks to make them customizable to like what you carry is amazing. We even talked about like a gym pack option, but they even have like a duffel bag that has a side panel with Velcro. So you could use that as like a gym bag, which I think is what I'm going to start doing soon as like a tertiary option. But that is a really good idea. Those like Velcro are those like little like Amazon $10 Velcro things are like amazing to just rig your bags with, for sure. Awesome. When it comes to like everyday life though, you mentioned the Filster Enigma. Will you kind of talk about your setup and maybe, if you don't mind, going into kind of like your history with concealment, maybe what you first used and then like how that compares to what you use now?
Yeah, absolutely. So with my first firearm, it was a Glock 43, and I bought it from Sportsman's Warehouse. And I was asking the guy, I knew nothing then. I'd never even shot a pistol. Like I knew absolutely nothing. And I asked it was an older gentleman at the counter. I was like, I need a holster so I can carry this with me regularly. And he brought me to an Uncle Mike's like soft fabric holster. And I was like, oh, cool. This is soft. This is comfortable. But again, I knew nothing at that time. And I would carry it in my purse at that time too, because I would just like throw it in. That sounds terrible. I mean, but we all start somewhere. Like I would never do that now, but I would just throw it in. I wouldn't keep around in the chamber just because I wasn't comfortable yet. And, I didn't know a lot about firearms. I'd only taken out a few times, but I was like, I won't keep it in the chamber because like I throw it in my purse and it literally falls out of the holster. So I was like, yeah, I shouldn't keep one there in case I just like reach in and pull the trigger, which is terrible. So like anyone listening to that, throw away any fabric holster that you have, please. Just just throw it away. So
chunk it. Yes.
So that was how I started. And then this cop at the gym once, this is like an old gym. He's like, I've seen so many people shoot themselves with that holster. I was like, what? No, this holster is great. What are you talking about? Like, cause I was just, the cocky young girl, like, who are you to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong? And then I started getting involved. This was before I was even involved in the shooting community. Like I had just purchased the gun and was doing that. And then a friend of mine was like, he's right. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, also, you don't even hold the gun right when you shoot. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So he basically like took me under his wing and was like, you need to get a Kydex holster or just anything that's hard that has a trigger guard so you can't accidentally pull the trigger. So there's retention so you can literally hold it upside down and the firearm doesn't fall out. So I eventually switched to Tier 1 concealed. That was what he recommended. So I do use a Tier 1 concealed holster right now. I started out with one with a sidecar in the beginning, but I could not conceal it. Like I'm quite petite and it just was wider than my waist. So I have since then just switched to just having the holster, no extra mag. And that's what I use now. And my main two ways of concealed carrying, are with either the Filster Enigma or the Hunter Constantine concealed carry belt. Have you heard of that belt before?
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yes. So that one, you can use it without belt loops, as long as the clips are on the holster or on the outside of the belt. So I'll put the belt on the inside of, say, my leggings, and then put my leggings up and over the belt. And then I'll put my holster in, and I use the discreet carry concept clips because those are a little bit stronger. Mm-hmm. And I just put those over my leggings and the belt on the outside. And I've dry fired carried that. It does not move when I draw the firearm. So I use that when I'm doing something like really quick. Like if I need to race to the store real quick and have a loose shirt on, I'll just toss that on because it's really quick and just put my firearm on. Those are my two favorite ways to conceal carry, is either the Filster Enigma setup or the Hunter Constantine concealed carry belt with just a tier 1 holster.
Yes, I think I've seen a video. Do you have like the tan colored one?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Not to like sound super creepy, but I do have to stalk my guest speakers to not sound like an idiot. So, but yeah, I've seen it. So are you saying, just to clarify, with the legging where you do Hunter Constantine belt, leggings, and then the DCC clips over the leggings? Yes?
Yes. Yes. So the clips are on the totally outside of the leggings and the belt. Yeah. So it just holds all into place and it does not move. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe it because I've even just put the DCC clips on leggings before just to F around and find out. And yes. Of course, like unloaded gun, blue gun, testing this, of course. And I've done some like burpees, and those DCC clips, they hang on for dear life. So, which I remember thinking I would never actually do this running because they do slip up on just leggings, just slightly, especially if you're moving rigorously like running. So adding a belt like that, I mean, and does it get a full purchase from the, like, have you done a video on this and I've just missed it?
It does. No, I compete. When I compete wearing the dresses, I'm using his belt and leggings. So it does completely wrap around both of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works really well. I think I assumed
that was the Filster. I think I just like assumed. It's probably in your caption, but I just missed it. So that's, I need to go back and look at those, and we'll add some B-roll over us talking about this so other people can see. That's freaking awesome. Yeah. And did you just kind of come up with that, or did you see another creator do that?
As far as how I wear the belt? Or
yes, the layer. Yeah.
He just said wear it without belt loops. So I was like, okay, let me try it. So I put it in with no belt loops and had the clips on the belt, but not on the leggings. And I noticed it moved a little bit, not a lot, but it was more than I liked. So I was like, okay, what if I put the clips on the outside of both the leggings? And it just kind of locked them in place together, and it did not move whatsoever after that.
Well, shit. Now I have to go spend a couple hundred getting this set up so I can try it myself. That sounds lovely. And I love the Enigma. Do not get me wrong. I'm also not one of those like extremists, like doesn't work for every, outfit. And also like, it's not always the most comfortable thing with certain outfits. So I just like would rather go something else. So I love to have an option like that. I need to look into it. I'm like, again, I'm mind blown just because, when you like do concealed carry for a while and you feel like you know all the options out there and you're like, yeah, like there's belly bands and then there's, I think I may have gotten in that, like settled in that, but this is so good to know. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And it really is the most comfortable belt too. Oh no, keep going.
Oh, good. Is it okay? Seriously, like I didn't know this. So what's so comfortable about it?
So rather than just being stiff all the way around it, it's stiff on the front, but I'm assuming it's some type of metal inside because it actually forms to your hips after a while wearing it. And then the back is just stretchy fabric. So it's not stiff on your back. So when you bend over, you don't just see a stiff belt just like sticking through your shirt. It moves with you. So it doesn't cause back pain. It's not uncomfortable when you're sitting in the vehicle for long periods of time. So it really, just for like a belt for anyone to wear, if they like using belts to conceal carry, I think it's the best one out there.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking for one right now. I stole Lisa's for like 2 months. And I liked that brand. Like there was nothing wrong with it, but I've heard of these belts where like the fabric is different around it, so it's not all stiff. And the one I borrowed of hers, it was like all stiff. And there were some times where I was like sitting in a car for 2 hours and I was like, this is not past the vibe check. So I would like something else. So I appreciate the recommendation. That's awesome. Yeah. What else do you carry on your person besides your firearm?
Just an EDC light. Oh, actually, okay, I shouldn't say that's on my person because it's not always on my person. As you know, female pants, like the pockets are like this short. Ridiculous. It's like nothing is supposed to go in them. Not even. I know, or they're fake.
Yeah, or
you
they're
go put I literally check that in stores. I'm like, okay, these are fake pockets. I'm not buying these pants. So I do have a light on me at all times, whether or not that is in my pocket or in my purse. When I do carry a purse, I pretty much only use crossbody purses, so you can't just go and take it off my shoulder. But I do, and I have two different lights. They're both from Cloud Defensive. One is a bigger light that definitely does not fit in my pocket, but I mean, I can look clear across the acre of my property and see on the other side. And then I just have a smaller one. It's like a little bit longer than my chapstick. In that one, it actually is a clip. When I'm walking into the gym, I'll take it out of my purse or out of my bag and I'll put it on my leggings because when I leave the gym, a lot of times it's dark. And I always look under my vehicle. I always look around, vehicles around. So I keep a flashlight on me no matter what, because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I can't see what's going on around me. Other than that, I carry a pocket knife on me most of the times. A lot of times that is on my person just because I can put it on leggings, on anything with just with the clip that's on it, hooks on.
Yes, absolutely. That's awesome. And do you carry any first aid on you as well?
I do not carry first aid on me. I mean, when I'm shooting...
That wasn't to call you out. I was just curious.
No, I don't. No, when I'm shooting competitions, I have a tourniquet, but that's it. I don't really carry much first aid on me.
Gotcha. No worries. I'm always looking for people's recommendations. I was hanging out with Lena and she showed me, and I don't even know what brand this is. I need to be careful because I don't know if this is even out yet, but it was like a super, I don't know the brand, so it should be fine, but it was like a super small tourniquet. Like it was itty bitty. And I was so impressed by how small it is. Like it's something that I wouldn't mind just throwing in my pocket if I have pockets, damn it. Like I bought these, I don't know if you've ever heard of fit jeans.
They're I've seen those. Yes.
The advertisements.
I thought about buying them. Yeah.
No. So I'm wearing them right now. I'm wearing their like wide pant ones. And these pockets are amazing. They're deep as hell. Like they could hold an iPhone 13 Pro or whatever. There's 15 out now, but you get my point. But they're like skinny jeans. I can't even get my thumb through the belt loop and the pockets are sewn shut. And I legitimately felt like I bought a pair of leggings without knowing it. And I honestly, I think now that looking back, I think they're jean-like leggings. So that was on me, but they are not functional at all for like concealed carry. They have their place. Like if I don't know, I've worn them every now and then, but they're like really cute. And like, you know, they make your figure look nice because they're tight in the right places and they're like looser in like the quad area, which is like, because my waist is smaller and then my hips and then my quads go out. So like I have a very like, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I don't have like body.
You have the fit girl body. It's you got the thick thighs and bum and the little waist. And that's the issue. Like when I go and try on Levi's, I'm like, okay, there's this much space in the waist, but I can't go lower because then they're not going to fit over my bum and my legs. It's frustrating. So I get that.
You get it. Is the waist having more room though? Is that helpful sometimes for concealed carry?
I mean, to an extent. I want it to be I don't want it to be super, super tight because then it's too tight. But if it's too loose, that's not helping me in any way either. So
Yep, that makes total sense. Yeah. No, that's good to know. Side note, didn't even think we'd talk about jeans today, but I love it. It's a good take. It's good to talk about. So kind of pivoting from there, I love that we went into your concealment practice right now and what you carry on yourself. When it comes to, I've seen some rifle footage on your page. I know we mentioned, we talked about this before, you're not necessarily competing yet with rifles, but do you have any goals when it comes to rifle shooting? Are you wanting to get into multi-gun?
Mm-hmm. Well, right now I just want to be more proficient with rifle shooting. I used to do it a lot more when I first started shooting, and then I recently started doing it again, and I was like, wow, I've really regressed. so so right now it's just being more proficient with it, being able to just do the mechanics, like going and reloading and without smashing my thumb and like breaking my nail and and things like that. In the future,
Yes.
before doing any form of like two-gun type of competitions, I think I would do tactical games first. So that is why I would want to be more proficient with a firearm in case that is something I would want to do in the future. But because I would definitely need to know how to shoot my shoot my rifle well.
Yes. No, that's awesome. We actually just had Janae DeCossin. That's the link that I accidentally sent you before this episode. You were like, someone named Janae is on here. She was the winner of the women's elite division of the tactical games this past
that's awesome.
past national competition. Yeah, she's a lovely person. I just had her on for an episode, so I think you'll love that episode. But yeah, she talks about, so she was like really heavy in CrossFit, and then she learned like firearms and then like threw herself into the tactical games. It's incredible how much you can do with just like even like a little bit of experience to like start dipping your toe into the tactical games, and then from there like just take off. Like it's just so cool to talk to those people. Is it something that inspired you to get into firearms in the first place, or is it something that you just recently become interested in?
Just something I recently became interested in. We were at the range goofing off, and we're like, let's run 100 meters and shoot this mini ADAP target with a pistol from 100 meters. And I remember doing that 100-meter sprint, and I'm like, holy cow, I need to do cardio. Yeah. And it's really hard to hold a gun steady after running. And when you think about it, if we're ever in a self-defense situation, we could be in a situation where we're out of breath. We're exhausted and we are shaking. Like I get nervous, I shake. So I think it's just another good way to perform under pressure and being exhausted, completely exhausted.
Absolutely. Yes. So do you know what I'm sorry, I just want to relate really quick. I've totally done like I forget, it was like a farmer's carry with like these water jugs, and then like I forget how far we walked quite a bit of a distance, enough to where I was like, F this shit, because it was too long. And then I came back and I had to like shoot with a rifle. This was forever ago with Victor. We were talking about him before he got me into shooting, and his buddies were wanting to, just like have some fun. And I could barely hold the rifle up. My arms were so fatigued. So yeah, at the time I was like, I never want to do this again. But now that I've like progressed into USPSA, I'm like, you know what? Tactical game seems like so much fun to like challenge yourself physiologically, and then with your shooting accuracy, precision, all that stuff. So yeah, you would be great at it. That's so cool. But do you know what you would need to do next to like get into that training, or are you like already taking those steps, or is it just kind of an idea right now?
It's just an idea right now. I haven't taken the steps yet because I noticed even when shooting the rifle, I'm like holding it out and I'm like, wow, I'm getting tired. I'm like, I can't just sit here and hold it and wait for the beep. I'm like, do I need to go to the gym and just hold dumbbells like this? Like, what else do I do to hold a rifle up?
I guess so.
It's difficult. And like, I don't do cardio ever. And that's one of the things that would make me nervous about the tactical games. Don't you have to run like a mile or two? Dude, I don't even think I can run a mile
straight. You do have to run. I don't know how far.
Like if it's a whole mile?
I'm definitely over like a 10-minute mile for sure. So
that would be rough. That would be really, really rough. I think I'd be better with the weight lifting portion of it than the running portion of it.
Janae mentioned that you can do like your first, actually, I think you can just stick with this. You can go and compete with a partner, and it's, or maybe even a group. Oh, man, I haven't.
There's a partner. I saw that there was a partner one.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. And I talked to her because Lisa and I have always wanted to do it. And we're thinking of October 2024, which nobody write that down. Or maybe hold us accountable, but we do want to partner up because I think you can like help each other out with your strengths and weaknesses. So maybe that would be a good place to start. Maybe you join Lisa and I don't know. Like, but yeah, I feel like it's one of those things. There are options out there to kind of like, I don't know, if your strength is shooting and weightlifting, then someone else in the group can pick up the running side. So, but you mentioned you go running, so you do cardio from what I'm hearing.
I do like breaks and like, okay, running outside is a lot easier than running on a treadmill. When I run on a treadmill, I'm like, when is this going to end? When I go running on a beautiful trail in a state park and I'm just mesmerized by the mountains and they're pink and the sun is setting, it's different. It's much nicer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You actually feel like you're going somewhere. There's something. So I'm preparing for a bodybuilding competition. So I have incline treadmill cardio for an hour, 4 times a week right now. It would probably, by the time this episode airs, it'll probably be more cardio. And I'm telling you, like those treadmill sessions, I make sure that I do something productive on them, because like walking on like a thing that's just like a rotating belt is so just like depressing sometimes.
It is.
Like you're going nowhere. Like,
yep.
And you're like this gym with like sometimes not great lighting, and you're like, anyway, we're not really meant to do that, I don't think, but it is a good tool. So I'd love to pivot a little bit. We talked a little bit before this about you and Angelo. I'll let you kind of take away for a second who you guys, like him and who you are. Let you explain that.
Okay, so my boyfriend is Angelo. He is known as Full Metal Jello on Instagram. He also owns an ammunition company called Jello Shots Ammo, and he also has a gun lubrication company called Jello Sauce. And we met through the firearm community, which has been great. And he's has helped me a lot on my journey with firearms. We do train together on occasion, a lot of times separately too. We do have our own training buddies. But he's definitely been a big part of my career. One of my number one motivator. so he's helped a ton.
That's awesome. That's really sweet to hear. And the reason I told Brittany before this, I checked with her that it was cool we talked about this, first of all. This isn't always something I do, really honestly ever do on episodes, but I did recently get a question on TikTok from a guy, which I appreciate so much that he asked this question, about like how he should go about training his girlfriend. Should he get her a class? Should he train her himself? What would you say as someone who was training firearms before and then you met Angelo in your journey? Like, what would you say about that dynamic? How would you answer a question like this gentleman proposed?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it really does depend on the relationship of the person. But in my experience, most women, myself included, don't enjoy learning from their significant other. And Angelo knows that. So we do have our own training partners. I don't know what it is about training with another guy, and I don't get angry. And then if like my boyfriend's like, you need to do this, and I'm like, I hate you. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. So I do recommend learning from someone else other than your significant other, if that is an option, or if you just like have a perfect relationship and you never argue, then go right ahead. But otherwise, I would recommend having someone else teach your spouse other than yourself.
Okay, good to know. I wanted to know your verdict on that, because even with my husband, like I would much rather us go to a class, just knowing our dynamic. We do help each other out a lot. Like he's the audio tech for She Shield, and we can like bounce creative ideas off of each other so well, and that's something that I just love about our dynamic. But in the past, I have not been the best with explaining firearms stuff, and I've thought to myself, like over this time, like I would feel better if he and I just went to a class together, even if it was a basic pistol class. Like this is embarrassing to admit on my own podcast about like firearms and safety, but like malfunction clearing, I didn't really understand until like 3 months before I started instructing. And that was because my USPSA coach at the time, maybe like more like 6 months, we were out shooting and I had a malfunction, and I looked at him and he was like, why are you looking at me? And I was like, what do I do? Because like it wasn't just like your average stovepipe, it was something else. And
double feed.
He was like, yes. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, you don't know what to do? And I was like, no. And we spent the entire day on malfunction training. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And it got me thinking, and this is not anything against Victor. I just love that man. I love that he showed me how to shoot a firearm for the first time, but you never know like, I think Victor assumed that I knew how to do it. Like, I honestly think over those years, like, because I didn't have formal training first off, that like that just kind of got left to the wayside. So there's something to be said about going to a professional that can like meet you where you're at, and you and your partner may be at different levels. So I just want to second that. Like, I think going to someone else is a great idea. It can be expensive. Not everyone can do it. So, you know, you have to work with that. But I love that you mentioned that. And I love hearing it from two people that are already in the industry and like kind of already know what you're doing, I guess, because I think that's a unique standpoint. Yeah. So do you compete together? Is that, I don't know if we talked about this before, but do you guys like go to USPSA matches and
yeah, together? So we do compete together. Awesome. And like, that's totally fine. You know, no issues getting along. It's just when we're telling each other what to do is when we disagree. So competing together is awesome. He helps me get in the right mental state if I do start some negative self-talk. And he's like, don't even start that right now. Think about what you did good. So he is a really big supporter. And sometimes he's like, I don't feel like shooting today, but I'll film you. I'm like, okay, then come film me. He's so sweet.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, you do. Your videos are very like, I almost want to like show them to the people I ask at matches to film, because they're like, whoever is filming you at the time, they tend to follow you really well. So that's awesome. That's really cool. Sorry. Side note. Yes. That's very cool, though. I love that you guys get to compete together. I mentioned that to Caleb the other day. I was like, it'd be so cool if we could shoot USPSA together. He has like 20,000 other activities he does. Like, he's taking guitar lessons and stuff. So I know that that's a long shot, but I think it's really cool when couples can do that. So I love to hear that. It sounds like you guys have a really awesome dynamic. So kind of moving on, this is really the last thing I planned on talking to you about today. I've loved our chat so far. This has been just been awesome. When it comes to self-defense training, like grappling, maybe like weapons-based combatives, like weapons-based grappling, is that something that's ever interested you, or that is on your kind of like list to learn in the future?
Yeah. So when it comes to the types of grappling, so say for example, like, have you ever wrestled your husband? Or like, sometimes I'll wrestle Angela, but you have skill, whereas I don't have grappling skill. But sometimes when like Angela and I wrestle, and then he'll put me in position, and I'm like, holy cow, I'm literally helpless. Like, I cannot get out of the position he has me in. And it is the worst feeling. So what type of grappling would that be in order to get out of positions that someone may put you in where you can't feel like you can't get out?
Absolutely. And by the way, I still get in those positions with Caleb, even with my experience. And truth be told, if someone had me in that, I would be smacking the shit out of their face. Like, I would I'll be their eyes.
Yeah, biting them, ripping out flesh, anything. Oh yeah, anything. For sure. It goes like, dirty real quick if you're stuck.
For sure. And like, you're not going to do that to your partner, but just know that I think that's something I like to remind women. Like, I'll answer your question, but just know that like, you're always going to have grappling plus striking. And of course, training that is so important too. Like, putting on some mitts and just like, practicing, like, once you start grappling, just like throwing some strikes here and there to make it more realistic changes the game so fast. But to answer your question, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be my top recommendation. It's fairly popular. So especially in Arizona, like, there are so many training centers that you can go to. Besides Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA would be a good way to like combine those striking and ground defense. MMA is always going to be a little bit of a combination of Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling. And the big difference between wrestling and Jiu-Jitsu, from my personal experience training both, wrestlers tend to shoot and float their hips a bit more, whereas like Jiu-Jitsuers keep their hips closer in. I've just noticed that's like the bigger difference. But there also isn't a lot of difference. Like, we have people at the gym I go to, one of like the local high school wrestler instructors does Jiu-Jitsu because it helps his wrestling. So like, there is a lot of overlap, especially for what you're trying to do, which is like basic grappling defense. But I would highly recommend, like, based on the lower impact especially for lower impact on spine, BJJ would be an incredible martial arts to look into for you. And what's really cool is like, if you're needing to keep it on the lower intensity side, they should, from my experience going to like several gyms, they should have a class for like uber beginners, like white belts. If the class is big enough, they'll split into that. And you can request to just be put with a higher belt. Someone who understands force like distribution, so they're not putting all of their top pressure on you because they just learned it and they're like this white belt off the street that just wants to like smash you. I have to tell people about my nose all the time. Like, I've got it down to an elevator pitch. I just say, hey man, I've had several nose surgeries. My surgeon promised me they can't fix my nose if it gets broken again. Please do me a favor and watch out for my face. And I just like motion to my whole face. Of course, I train with Arlena mostly, but just communicating with those partners. And typically there's a women's only class too. And I've noticed those move a little bit slower because it's more of like you kind of like, you'll work one technique a little bit longer. It just depends on how the gym is run. But sometimes the women's class is a little bit just by default more gentle because women are a little bit more gentle. And there's usually like a higher belt woman that is leading the group and setting that precedent. So there's definitely a place for you in all of that. I think it's going to depend on where you go and the communication between you and the owner of the gym as well as your partners.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for answering that.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I could go on about it all day. I sing the praises of BJJ so much that like I got to a point where I wrote Arlena when I was at this combatives camp and I was like, dude, I have to come back to jiu-jitsu. Like, it's just time. But when you have an injury, you have an injury and there's nothing you can do about it. And you will not be the only one there with something. I promise you. Like, it's more often than not that someone has some type of like shoulder, knee, ankle, like just ailment that you have to like work around with them. And that's totally fine. I have loved our conversation. When I first saw your videos, I was so impressed. I'm still so impressed with what you're doing. I'm excited to see where you're going. I'm honored to have met you at this point in your journey so I can just cheer you on along the way. And I just overall, Brittany, you're doing incredible stuff. You are inspiring so many people. I hope you keep it up, and I'm excited to see you do tactical games. Maybe we partner up. I don't know. But as far as like maybe a statement or just like something encouraging you would like to leave the listeners with, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're just new to firearms or if you've been into it for a while, I recommend getting into competition. No matter how nerve-wracking it may be, I found that the firearms community is a very welcoming community, and there are always people that are willing to help you, push you, motivate you. And, I really haven't had negative experiences. So I think it's just an absolutely wonderful community. And to start, even if you're nervous, just start. Someone will be there to help you. Everyone wants to help beginners.
Absolutely. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I second all of that. It is truly an awesome community. Well, thank you, Brittany, so much for coming on. If you're listening and you want to see video content, we are now offering the full video on YouTube. So I'm sorry if you just got to the end of this and you're like, crap, I could have watched this. That's okay. Just go and watch it anyway. And subscribe while you're there. Might as well. If you're looking for exclusive content that isn't anywhere else, we do have a Patreon. You get a thank you note stickers. And I always send something out during the holiday season as well to thank the Patreons. So be sure to check that out. Everything I'm mentioning right now is linked in the bio. We are, of course, on Instagram and TikTok at She Shield Pod. All resources mentioned in the episode. I just said this. I don't know why I'm repeating it. It's in the show notes. I roll. But yeah, so if you liked the podcast, you can sincerely help by liking, subscribing, or leaving a review. So I know I listen on Spotify. All you have to do is scroll up and there's an option to rate, and it's just like a little star icon, and you just click on the star icon and rate the show. That would help so much. And lastly, but not least importantly, that was that was too long. If you or anyone you know is a firearms owner experiencing a crisis, look into holdmyguns.org. They are an organization that will connect you with the local gun shop or FFL to store your firearm for you. And then whenever you're ready, you can go retrieve it. The link to access their website is also in the show notes. Thank you for listening. In the meantime, stay safe and stay vigilant. Are you in search of top-notch gear that exceeds your expectations? Look no further than GPS, brought to you by Go Outdoors Incorporated. GPS has been dedicated to crafting the finest products for hunting and shooting since 2002. As someone who frequents the gun range, my GPS bag is a staple to safely and effectively haul my gear. Their specialized bags are designed to keep all of my valuable equipment secure and organized. With GPS, you can experience the ultimate peace of mind. There are 3 exciting product lines: GPS Tactical, GPS Wild About Hunting, and GPS Wild About Shooting provide the perfect solution for your specific needs. So whether you're on a hunting expedition or hitting the range, GPS is your reliable companion. To choose a bag that fits your needs, use code SheetShield at checkout to save and to support the pod. That's SHESHIELD at checkout.